Welcome to the Next Level Facebook Ads Podcast with Phil Graham. We help you master Facebook ads and give you an unfair advantage over your competition. Are you ready? Let's go.
What's up, podcast family? Welcome to the Next Level Facebook Ads Podcast, episode 372. I'm Phil Graham. This is the last episode of June 2024. I can't believe it's almost July. I'm super glad you're here because today, my friends, I'm going to be talking about how you can transform your Facebook and Instagram ads by building trust, and how building trust for many people could end up boosting sales. It could certainly make a big difference in many situations, and I've seen so many advertisers miss the boat on this, and there's some that struggle because of it. So I'm excited to share that with you today. In fact, we're going to be talking about why building trust in your ads is so important, but also how to do it. How can you easily build trust in your ads without having to spend more money? You can do it with the budget that you're already using, and you can still sell in your ads as well. Now, briefly, before we jump into this, I just wanted to mention, if you guys are looking to learn ads the right way, I actually had an interesting conversation the other day with a brand new client. And before coming to me, he took this big course on how to run ads. And it was a course, it was a cookie cutter course, a big group of people. There was a Facebook group and a Discord attached to it. And what happened was there was just this information, like this one to many. And it really was not specific to him or his business at all, and wasn't helpful at all. And the Discord and the Facebook group was like the blind leading the blind. And he just had a horrible experience, wasted all kinds of time and money. And that's one of the reasons why I'm always recommending one-on-one coaching is the best way to learn this kind of stuff, because it's specific to you, to your exact situation, to your skills, to your strengths and weaknesses and everything. And it's not the blind leading the blind. So I love coaching one-on-one. So if you're interested in that, or if you're interested in having somebody just run your ads for you so you don't have to do it, for either one of those things, you can go to my website, philgrahamdigital.com, or DM me on Instagram at philgrahamdigital, and I would love to connect with you. I want to jump right in now. This is not going to have to be too long of an episode because I can cover this in a short amount of time, yet it could be one of the most important episodes you listen to if you take this philosophy and really use it and test it. So I'm going to ask you a question. If you're a client listening to this, you've already heard this question, or at least a variation of it. If not, then this should really be eye-opening for you guys. So here's the question. I want you to pretend for a second that you had to learn and master something, and then you were going to compete in one event. After learning something, you were going to compete with a chance to win $20 million. Okay, so if that were true, let me ask you this question. Would you rather learn from the best tennis player in the world or the best chef in the world? Who would you rather learn from? Now, a lot of people will answer that question and they'll say whatever they're interested in, like tennis or cooking, so the chef. But here's the thing. In our example, I didn't tell you what you were going to be competing. I just said you had to learn something, but I didn't tell you what it was yet. So for example, let's say you said you wanted to learn from the tennis player, the best tennis player in the world, but the competition was actually a cooking competition. Then it doesn't matter how good that tennis player was. That would not have helped you win. You would have lost because you didn't pick the right person, or vice versa. If you would have picked the chef, but the competition would have been tennis, you would have picked wrong. You would have lost. What in the world does that have to do with ads and trust? You're probably wondering. Here's how it compares. I want you to think of what you would have been learning, like the product or the service that you sell. Okay. So what you were learning was like your product or service. Now, who you're learning from is like your brand. So the reason I give this example is what you learn is important, or in your situation, what you sell is important. Or if we think of it from your customer or client's point of view, what they're buying is important. Okay. That's all very important. But you know what is equally important, if not even more so, is who they're learning from or who they're buying from. Because there's many places they can get products and services. And a lot of advertisers make the mistake of just promoting their product or their service without building the trust and credibility to show that you are the right person for them to do business with, regardless of price. Hopefully this makes sense, but it's so important. So again, don't make the mistake of focusing only on your product or service. Focus on why they should choose you to do business with. And this is for any business, whether it's e-commerce, courses, digital, agencies, local businesses. It affects all the businesses in the same way. And so it's really important. So how do you get them comfortable and build that trust and credibility? Well, you can do that in your ads. So let's talk about how to build trust in an ad. And this isn't going to take very long because it's kind of a framework of doing it. If you were a client, we would dig in and figure out the exact thing to do because there's a million different ways to do it. But even if you're not a client, you can use this framework and think of ways that you can make this work in your situation. So how do you build trust in an ad? First of all, don't just sell. Now, that doesn't mean that you should never run an ad where you're just selling something, because sometimes we do that for certain reasons. But for these types of ads, for this test, what I would recommend, you don't just sell in this ad. So what I would do to build trust in an ad, number one, of course, I would start with some kind of a hook, something that means something to your ideal customer or client. And when I say start with a hook, I'm talking about like if you're doing a video, the first thing you say is what's going to be that hook, as well as what's in the headline of your ad, and then also the start of your ad copy. In all of those places, I would start with a hook, something that's important to them, something that matters to them, and no, it's not introducing yourself. Don't do that at the very beginning of your videos. Have a hook first, and then you can introduce yourself, but start with a hook. The next thing that I really like to do in order to build trust in an ad is to really use empathy. And when I say that, I don't say that in a way that is taking advantage of somebody or doing it to get a sale. Like when I do it, I genuinely have empathy. For example, if you're either struggling to run ads, or maybe you're not struggling, you're excited, you're inspired, but you're just not sure how to do it, I have empathy for you and for your situation, and also some excitement for it. Like it's genuine. If you fake it, if you don't have it, then it's not going to work. It's got to be part of your core beliefs and personality. And it should be if you're in business anyway, but you've got to empathize with them. You've got to let your audience know that you know how it feels to be them, or to want something, or to be frustrated, or to struggle. Or maybe what you're selling has nothing to do with fixing a problem, but you're making their life better. So maybe they're inspired. Maybe they're looking for a cool solution. That's where there's so many variables, and it depends on you and your situation and all these types of things, what you might say here. That's why I'm giving you the framework. If you were a client, we would figure this out together. But otherwise, think of how you could use this. How can you empathize with your clients or customers before they become clients and customers? What are the thoughts that are in their heads? Are they skeptical? What does the industry usually say that might be incorrect? And how can you talk to them about those things in the ad, in just a little bit of ad copy? I'm not talking about writing pages and pages of copy here, but if you empathize with them and it's real and genuine, that goes a long way to building trust and credibility. For some people, you're good to go. You do that once and you've got their trust. For other people, they need more, or they just need to see your ads a lot more through retargeting and stuff. If they see it 2, 3, 4, 5 times, then they might start trusting you. Everybody's different. but I would be doing this consistently. Another thing I would do in your ads is I would briefly, and I do mean briefly, but briefly talk about your experience, your brand, your differentiation, and not just your product or service differentiation, but your brand's differentiation. And most importantly, however you're different, talk about how that benefits your customers and clients, because that's what really matters. That's what's important to them. So talk about how that benefits them. So if I had to boil it down to really just one word, it's basically don't just sell, but care. Care would be the word that I would use. Actually genuinely care about the people looking at these ads. And then when you do that, you start with a hook, you build some trust, you have empathy in there, you have some differentiation, you can have a hook, story, and offer, and then you can still have a call to action even in that same ad. Whether it's selling something or just having them go to your website or downloading or scheduling a call, any of the above, you can do all of that in one ad. Sometimes we'll do multiple steps where we'll just do a pure empathy, building trust, credibility ad and then retarget with the sale. But many times clients don't really have the budget to do those things like that. And so we put it all into an ad. And then we also do something very similar on the landing page. Another great way that you could build trust and credibility in your ads is by actually giving value in your ads, either teaching somebody something or inspiring them or both. Those things can also work amazing. And lastly, like I said earlier, there's really millions of ways to do this. So just think about this philosophy, this framework, and what you could say that relates to your brand, your product, and your services, and how you could implement this, because it's something that's worked really well for us. And I highly recommend that you guys test this out. Well, my friends, episode 372 is in the books. This is so important. I hope you listened and most importantly, will take action. If you want to get in touch, philgrahamdigital.com is the website, or you can DM me on Instagram at philgrahamdigital. I will talk to you guys on next week's episode. Peace out.
Thanks for listening to the Next Level Facebook Ads Podcast. Please remember to subscribe and share this with all your friends. For show notes, more tips, and to learn more about Phil, please visit philgrahamdigital.com/podcast.